Hey Space Freighters, I finished Super Mario RPG on stream not too long ago and wanted to kind of talk about it now that I want to tackle other later Mario RPGs. Kind of give you a rundown of what I'm thinking about it from the perspective of an average RPG playing sloth drifting through space. The short version? This game is great, so great. I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to spend just a little more time with these characters by drawing them in one more showdown. There, that's the video in a nutshell. Thanks for watching, bye! Oh, the drawing isn't done yet? I guess I should think of something more to talk about. But seriously, if you haven't played the game, and you're either a Mario fan or an RPG fan, you really ought to pick this one up. This game is special, and not because, oh, my childhood, or the graphics were amazing. It's true, this is a beloved game that so many have nostalgia for, and the graphics when the original came out on the Super Nintendo were amazing for the SNES. But this game established a special game mechanic that's still just as satisfying today as it was 29 years ago. And it bravely introduced new characters, stories, and contexts to the ongoings of the Mushroom Kingdom that you'd never get to experience in the regular Mario platformers. You got little peeks into the lives of Shy Guys and Chain Chomps and Lava Dragons, and for all the coins you collected in Mario games, you actually get to spend them on more than just one-ups. But let me back up the truck here for a minute. When I was a kid, I didn't play this game very much. I knew one kid who had it in the neighborhood, and he was kind of a dick. I didn't go over there very often. But when I first saw the cover art sticker on the cartridge, I was impressed, like it was using 3D models for their character art, which was not so widely used on the Super Nintendo. And the gameplay was new and different because you weren't running and jumping to get to the end of an elongated platforming level with power-ups and obstacles like you'd see in Super Mario World. In this game, you're in a world with towns and toadstool people to talk to, and while Mario could still jump on the enemies, he had a crew with him to dispatch the baddies. Like, one was a weird fluffy thing that called himself a tadpole, and one was a wooden doll with gun arms. For as briefly as I played this might have been my first experience playing an RPG. I don't think I played Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy or D&D or anything else until later, and it wasn't until almost 3 decades later did I get to play all the way through Super Mario RPG with the remake of this game on the Nintendo Switch. From what everyone's saying, it's pretty faithful to the original. Of course, it's not the pixel sprites only made to look like 3D models. I think in the original they used the same technique Rare used when making Donkey Kong Country, but everything in the new one captures such a close look and feel to the old one. I'm sure someone like a speedrunner could tell you where there are little differences from the original version, but I'm just in it for the gameplay and story. Speaking of the gameplay and story, this game did a couple of unique things, unique to other RPGs and unique to Mario games up until then. For those who don't know, this game was a collaboration between Nintendo and Squaresoft, before they partnered with Enix, who worked on games like Soul Blazer, Illusions of Gaia, and Terra Enigma. But you can feel a lot of the Final Fantasy DNA in this game. Your party members all have different attack, defense, and speed stats. They all have a role they each fill. Peach for healing, Mallow is kind of a magical all-rounder, Geno for blasting, Mario for good single-target damage, Bowser for debuffs and tanking. Mario's fireballs are like Fire, Fira, and Firaga, or Fire 1, 2, and 3, depending on what your first Final Fantasy game was. Mallow's got Thundara and Thundaga. I don't remember the ultimate triple moves in the original game, but they kind of feel like Limit Breaks did in Final Fantasy VII. One thing I haven't really come across in other RPGs, and maybe someone in the comments can say if they can think of one, is the mechanic of timing your button hit exactly when you see one of your party members hitting an enemy, thus dealing more damage, or pressing the button right when an enemy hits you to block or reduce the incoming attack. And now that I've moved on to playing Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64, it's nice to see this timed pressing mechanic continuing on. The timing is kind of precise, but it feels super rewarding to master. I've definitely played other RPG franchises that interrupt combat with a quick-time event, where you're thrust into a unique minigame. Like other Square Enix games, the time pressing mechanic in combat was expanded upon in Paper Mario with some new minigames that involve things like releasing your joystick to time a perfect shell toss, or aiming a reticle so your party member can throw spinies at their target. But the simple button press on a hit mechanic in Super Mario RPG is so clean and simple. To tell the truth, I had a really terrible time getting the timing right while I was streaming this game on Twitch, because my capture card lags behind by small fractions of a second, but even so I mostly figured the right timing out. Although the timing will change when you upgrade a party member with a new weapon, like the timing when I'm attacking with Bowser's drill claw is easier, because you can see when Bowser hits something with his hands. The animation makes it clear, but his chain chomp weapon where he has a wind-up swing? Not so easy for me. At least the remake gives you a little exclamation point graphic that comes up to indicate exactly when they want you to hit it, and that's kind of a nice quality of life change. Oh, speaking of timed button presses, totally optional, but there's a monster that'll give you the best armor item in the game as a reward if you use Mario to super jump on an enemy's head perfectly 100 times in a row. More specifically, you have to be able to hit the A button exactly within a tenth of a second window of time, on time, 100 times when you land on an enemy's head. I think that window of time is more lenient for the first 16 or 17 jumps, just to help get you started, but it's all on you after that. It's kind of hard to say the least. It's like when they had you dodge the lightning 200 times in Final Fantasy X if you wanted to get the Venus sigil for Lulu's ultimate weapon. Like, I practiced timing these stupid super jumps for 12 solid hours before I could land them 100 times in a row. And there are all kinds of guides online for how to nail the timing just right. Some listen for a particular sound cue, some watch Mario's feet to hit a certain position. In this version, some people hit the button the instant they feel the rumble in their controller. If you're using the controller in wireless mode, you could be delayed by a frame, throwing you off. I found I psyched myself out when I got into the higher numbers and messed up because I could feel my heart pounding in nervous anticipation. And to be honest, this reward isn't necessary at all. You could get through everything in the game and the new post-game bosses without it just fine, but I'd say the achievement for having accomplished this rote and brutal task, to say that I did it, was worth the work to me. I had to do this off-stream because there was no way I was going to get it with my capture card lag, but still it was hard. If I never accomplish anything better in my life, feel free to put it on my gravestone. He did the 100 perfect super jumps in Mario RPG. This completely optional bullshit task has actually been inspirational to me in my still very new streaming journey. Tempering my patience with this challenge and then eventually getting it has me thinking that if I just keep chugging away at streaming and drawing and putting out videos on YouTube, even if I don't get many views for a long time, the perseverance will pay off in the end. Think of it this way, I'm not going to stream my way out of my day job by not streaming, right? I just gotta keep trying, and then maybe Gino will come align some star pieces and grant my wishes in real life. The timed pressing thing aside, Super Mario RPG also has some actual minigames in the world that'll reward you with things like coins and frog coins you can put towards buying rarer items. There's like a minecart track and a couple barrel hopping courses. I enjoyed the change of pace when I got to the minigames, but I never personally felt like going back to play most of them, though there's a timed paratroopa hopping minigame that I played when I needed more frog coins. Anyway, just like any other Mario game, this game rewards you if you like exploring areas and hunting for secrets, but unlike Mario games that came before this one, this was a Mario game with fetch quests and trading quests. In terms of Nintendo properties up till that point, that would have been more like a Zelda thing, right? As for the storytelling of this game, I probably don't have to tell you Mario games before this mostly relied on the visuals of the levels to imply that some events were taking place in the narrative of the Mushroom Kingdom. Cutscenes in Super Mario World were brief, like when you see Mario bomb or stomp a castle to the ground. Sometimes there'd be a block with a short wall of text from time to time. But in an RPG where you can explore towns and buildings and dungeons, you can hear everyone's deal right from them, or from others around them in the setting. Like, Bowser's way more encouraging to his minions than I'd have ever expected, for example. And maybe more importantly and interestingly, they introduced brand new characters and monsters with their own stories that had nothing to do with the Mario universe before. No one's ever heard of a doll called Gino before, but he's basically this adventure's main character, and a lot of people's favorite. There's this weird nepotist tycoon character that doesn't know what marriage is, but wants it for the cake at the end. There's a rival-turned-friend under the sea who helps you get out of a bind. There's a weird bird lady and manufactured weapon people. Every one of these new and unique characters have their own motivations and take part in interesting scenarios that you'd get bored with if they were all the same Goombas and Thwomps a kid in the 90s would be familiar with, since most of these are all unnamed throwaway minions with their only motivation being to stop Mario. Did I mention this game has an optional Final Fantasy boss? Like, with all of the gravitas and mysterious nature and ramped up difficulty of a typical Final Fantasy boss fight? He's the guy in the top left, fading into the darkness of space in this picture. Anyway, it's nice that in Paper Mario, unique and named characters continue to be a thing, though they are mostly the kinds of creatures you see in Mario games already. Boos, Bob-ombs, Paratroopas, Goombas, etc. And that makes sense since Nintendo probably wants as much as possible tied to their other properties. And since Super Mario 64 came out before this, I've noticed some penguin characters put into Paper Mario 2. But also you'll see some characters unique to this game, like a family of fortune tellers. Paper Mario is also a great game that you should play. But Super Mario RPG is special for being the first in a line of Mario games that'll give you named characters and towns with some meat in their backstory, with context that you can actually read from several characters' perspectives, adding real stories to a Mario game, to me, to the RPG lover in me, put Super Mario RPG on another level. In fact, when Nintendo made Paper Mario, the Japanese title was Mario Story, almost like they knew that that was the big draw to play these kinds of games. Super Mario RPG is so charming, and like I said, if you like Mario or you like RPGs, you've got to give this game a try. And it's not all that long for a Japanese RPG, so I can definitely see myself picking this up to replay it again. You could beat the game in maybe 24 hours, maybe 35 if you want to find every secret chest and item, hunt for all the Easter eggs, and play through the new post-game boss fights on the Switch. Talking about all of this has me really excited to play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, eventually. For now, there are a couple of big games on the horizon, and I'm going to be putting a lot of time into them. Those being Monster Hunter Wilds and Xenoblade Chronicles Cross Definitive Edition, which I am so excited to play. If you'd like to join me on my RPG journey, you can subscribe to my channel, watch my VODs on my VOD channel, and follow me at twitch.tv/TakeAChillPhil. Don't forget the underscores. Every little bit helps. Oh look, the picture's done. Thanks for watching. See you later, Space Freighters. Bye.